teams probably not used to seeing each other on a regular basis. Long Eaton Storm playing out West Midlands Baseball League. Cambridge Lancers, the single A affiliates of the Royals, then playing in the East of England Baseball League. So an interesting matchup today, Chris.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are just joining us or just being able to hear us, thanks so much for dealing with our technical issues here at Farnham Park. It's certainly a work in progress. All complaints can actually be directed to me, which does make it quite convenient. But apologies for the any of the technical issues we're dealing with, as we just had a runner picked off second base, so that'll be the second out of the inning. We now have a runner at first, 2 down, 1 run home for Cambridge, 1-0 here in the first inning of this championship final, as off is the runner at first, and he is safe. High tag, it would appear, the call. This is the National Single A Championship from Farnham Park. Chris Knoblock and Tim French with you here over at Field 2 at Farnham Park. Currently at bat, the away team, that would be the Cambridge Lancers. Long Eaton Storm is pitching. Currently David Ackerley of Cambridge up at the plate. And the delivery. Swung on and missed, and that will retire the side. So 1 run home for Cambridge. They strike first, as after half an inning of play, it is Cambridge 1, Long Eaton coming up. You're watching the National Single A Championship Final here on Baseball Softball UK TV. Welcome back here to Field 2 at Farnham Park. Again, apologies for the technical issue. Jason Ball, who is the second baseman. Keanu Stolte, the pitcher, bats third, followed by Ashley Lowe, the first baseman, batting cleanup. In the 5 spot, it's Mark Fortin-Tobin. He is the left fielder, followed by Jacobo Valdez-Chong. He is the third baseman. Over at shortstop is Ruben Gee, followed by Ed Solandi. He is the center fielder, and Harvey Tavener will do the play in right field and bat 9th. On the mound for this Cambridge side, it is Mark Willingale, who is also their number 3 hitter. Willingale will work exclusively out of the set position, unlike his counterpart, Stoltz, who works from the windup. First pitch, breaking ball down low. That's a ball. Pitch coming. Is in there for a strike. That evens the count at 1 to Puig, followed by Ball and Stoltz for this Long Eaton side. 1-1. Misses in the dirt. Again, you can see the wind and The dirt kicking up. The 2-1 misses low as well. And now Pugh has a 3-1 count. As mentioned, joined by my broadcast partner, Tim French. And Tim, obviously we have Long Eaton and Cambridge playing here today. If you wouldn't mind after this 3-1 pitch, which will be a walk, ball 4. If you wouldn't mind giving us a little bit of an overview of how we got here today.
So this really is the Champion of Champions tournament. So each of these teams would have had to progress through their own divisional and national structures to get here. So not only have they had to play a full season of individual league play as that ball is picked off back to the first baseman. League play, these teams have had to fight their way through their own playoffs, become the champions of their own divisions, to then be invited to come to this Champion of Champions tournament. So the East of England Baseball League, containing both the MK Bucks, as that runner takes off at second base. Good arm, but does not quite get there. So the East of England Baseball League has the Cambridge Lancers and the MK Bucks hailing from there. West Midlands Baseball League, very competitive out there in the West Midlands, holding this Long Eaton team, as well as the British Baseball League up in the north. Ball is ripped into the gap at third base. Runner is waved home. Cut off man, and he's not in time. Runner is safe and advances to second base as well with the RBI there. A lovely little bit of hitting.
As you said, a beautiful piece of hitting right between the gap between the shortstop and third baseman. Bit of a risky move to wave the runner around, but as we've mentioned about single A play, you'll see a lot more aggression, a lot more enthusiasm, as it were, on the base paths, trying to score those runs. You don't end up with a lot of 1-0 games in single A, and that ends up creating quite an exciting environment here. So the game now tied 1-1. Still a runner at second base. And this is sent out just foul down the third base line. That landed just beyond third base, but hit the grass to the left of the left field line. This is Keanu Stoltz, the pitcher at the plate. Bats right, throws right. As you can hear the wind rattling around here at Farnham Park. Checks the runner at second. The pitch. Popped it up. So that was a high tomahawk chop over to get it the left fielder. He will reel it in, as making the catch there is Kendrick.
I think this wind's going to be really interesting today, Chris, because it seems like it's going to be affecting these teams more than it typically would. I think the control is one thing that the pitchers will have to think about. The batters are going to have to think about where these pitches are ending in the zone, as well as the fielders themselves thinking, how am I going to see the ball in the air? So I think it'll be really interesting to see how this game progresses in terms of the conditions, because this is British baseball, but not guaranteed the weather at any point. It is sunny and a little bit cloudy, but otherwise a perfect day for baseball. But that could change in the next 20 to 30 minutes.
That's very true. And of course, when we were checking the forecast for today, the only time it said it would rain was between 4 and 6 p.m. because that's exactly how it's going to work. But so far, no sign that that's actually going to happen. As Tim mentioned, partly cloudy. Just really about as good of a day for British baseball as you would be able to ask for. As we have Ashley Lowe, the number 4 hitter, left-handed hitter, waits for the pitch. Bounce off the glove of Clement, and advancing to third base is Ball. So runner at third, one down. Coming set, Wallingale. Checks the runner at third being held on and delivers. Pitch is high. Wallingale sets and deals. This is grounded towards second. Up with it and firing to first in time is the second baseman Zemke, but in the back door comes the second run of the game, and it's now 2-1 Long Eaton.
Really tough play, a difficult play there for the first baseman. Important that he gets that out at first base, but couldn't get that throw back to the catcher in time, which brings that second runner in for Cambridge.
I think Cambridge there was pretty happy to concede the run for the out. Still early goings in this game, although it is a 5-inning game. As this is sent out towards left field, that will get down for a base hit. Over to play and missing it, the left fielder. Now we're rounding first, heading for second. Is, I believe, well, it's number 0. That would be Mark Fortin-Tobin. So Fortin-Tobin with the double. And now with 2 down, there's another runner in scoring position for Long Eaton as Jacobo Valdez-Chong comes up. Right-handed hitter. First pitch, high, ball 1. You will see a lot of these higher pitches, higher strike zone than some would be used to, especially down at the NBL level, certainly the major league level. You'll see that happens a lot with the curveballs here in single A, is that the curves are bigger, they loop a little bit more, but also because of that, they are called strikes higher, and you'll see them thrown higher as well. And that creates a little bit of a competitive advantage, sure, but it also allows the strike zone to expand and open up just a hair, which creates what I would say more competitive play, certainly. The pitch. Swung on and miss, as mentioned, again to the breaking ball. That time it broke really well and got the swing and the miss.
I think, as you say, Chris, the off-speed pitches is really where this game is going to be won and lost. You know, at this level, most people can throw a decent fastball, and finding the zone is obviously important, but if you've got a good off-speed pitch, you really have got your command correct, and you really will be effective at this level.
Absolutely, and as we discuss the levels, this is single A. This is what would be considered the lowest level of organized baseball in the United Kingdom. And this is independent single A, as we have a foul tip. The runner will not be able to advance here. Some of these clubs you may recognize from other levels, and this is where it's a very uniquely British thing, but the clubs can have multiple teams. You won't see a lot of that in, for example, the United States, where the teams with different levels, they at least have different names, different cities, etc. within the minor league system. Here, you'll have, the London Mets have 5 or 6 different teams, and they all wear London Mets uniforms. And depending which level they're playing will be what level of Mets team. So, for example, today we have I believe it is the Meteors? No. The Mustangs, correct. Thank you, Tim. I was getting it confused with the Mayhem, the women's team that played last week. They're all M names, as would make sense with the London Mets, but sometimes I can't keep them straight. So runners at the corners, and the pitch. This is high. Defensive indifference will put another runner in scoring position.
I think, as you say, Chris, the teams that we have here are all affiliated to a high level, except from Long Eaton, I'm pretty sure. I think they only have one team at the single A level. But interestingly, the Blade Runners from Sheffield, as that pitch is swung on and missed, they actually have one team at the double A level and 3 teams at the single A level, which becomes quite interesting in terms of the size of and depth of their squad, the fact that they can field 4 teams in British baseball, which I think is a credit to them as a club and the investment they're putting into their players and baseball in that region.
Certainly, and while we're speaking about the investment in British baseball and discussing this tournament, we have to give a huge shout out to Tom Thornhill, who helped pull this whole tournament together. This was a bit of his brainchild. Managed to get a really unprecedented level of cooperation between the independent leagues as well as the British Baseball Federation. As this ball gets away from Clement, she can't find it, but the pitcher Wallingale will come get it and nearly eats a hand for his trouble in doing so, but the runners remain at second and third. But yeah, this was really a brainchild of Tom Thornhill. It was something that we've been looking forward to here at Farnham Park for a while. to have on the schedule. Only really the second big baseball event that we've had at Farnham this year, although that will certainly change next year. But it's great to have all of these different teams as we have a walk and the bases will be loaded. It's great to have all these different teams and to see people who may have not come down to Farnham Park. It usually come down, maybe come up, but in this case definitely come down, whether it's the teams from Sheffield or Long Eaton or wherever they may be, to come down to experience Farnham Park and mostly to play against competition that they haven't seen in a while. And it breaks up the monotony of playing the same opponents every so often.
I think it's his real credit to the state of baseball in Britain right now that there is this move towards cooperation and wanting to play more baseball, and I think it's really admirable what's going on here, and hopefully this will be a good blueprint for future progress in terms of getting more of the independent leagues involved with the British Baseball Federation, as that is side away on the pop fly to the pitcher there.
So Wallingale gets himself out of a jam, leaves 3 on base, and after a full inning of play, it's 2-1 Long Eaton over Cambridge. You're watching the National Single A Championship Final from Farnham Park. Welcome back to Farnham Park, National Baseball and Softball Complex. My name's Chris Knoblock, joined by Tim French here. Thanks so much for tuning in, and thanks again for bearing with our technical issues as we sort out what the best way to broadcast from Farnham Park is. I can guarantee we will have it sorted for next year when we plan on doing quite a few broadcasts from Farnham Park as well as the rest of the country. But to the action at hand, as George Fairbairn, steps in. Some of the best hair we've seen, certainly in this tournament. He's quickly down in the count. 0-2. 2-1. Cambridge trails Long Eaton as this pitch misses. It's the pitcher for the Storm, Keanu Stoltz, working quite quickly. As mentioned, he does use a windup. Not everybody at the single A level does, as that's fouled back to us. And to what I would guess is our third man in the booth. He's not going to be talking. Peanut. Autographs are available after the game. Stoltz deals. This is off the hands, fouled back, and out of play. So, Tim, you're familiar with baseball perhaps in an area of the country that we don't often get to see, and we are very much based in London at BaseballSoftballUK. As the pitch is called third strike, and that will be out number 1. Nice pitch there by Stoltz, got him over the outside corner, and that will be the first out. So a good start here for Long Eaton. They take the lead, and now they've got the first out easily. As I was saying, you've seen some baseball in parts of the country that perhaps don't get as much exposure as those around London, for better or for worse. You've seen a decent amount of this Long Eaton team. You've mentioned the Sheffield Blade Runners and their 3 teams at the single A level. Today we have the Sheffield Blade Runners 4 on site. This is another good pitch away to get the strike. What is British baseball to you? What does it mean to you? What do you see? What about it makes it unique to you compared to, say, watching a major league game and watching even the London series, which, although based in Britain, was not British baseball. So from your experience, which is certainly very different to mine, this is chopped foul. What is British baseball to you? What do we get here in the UK?
Chris, I suppose the key difference in the UK is that it's an amateur level sport, so everyone is playing baseball for the love of playing baseball. So to that extent, the players and the setup in the clubs is very dedicated. As we watch another strikeout there from Keanu Stoltz. Very dedicated individuals that run clubs, that are involved, and ultimately I think that is what really drives a lot of people, is to grow the sport in this country. It's a very small base of players, isn't it? Around 10,000 or so, isn't it? That's another strike there from Stoltz. So really, the sport is growing. It's growing at a very rapid pace currently. I think it's probably in its heyday, as it was in the 1930s. Again,
1938 world champions was England. Never forget that. Certainly, British Baseball Podcast's Matt Mutton will not let you forget that.
And of course, the number of teams is only growing. The expansion of levels of players in terms of getting more single A players involved, and indeed the introduction of the Women's League, WBUK, and the BBF being instrumental in the formation of the Women's League, recently crowning the Southern Belles baseball team as the national champions for the first time in 80 years. And there's only really good things that are growing from this now, and I think that is the key focus that should be going forwards, along with the traction that the Euros and the London series has given the sport in the UK. So really, there has never been a better time to get involved in baseball, whether that be playing, officiating, volunteering, and it's so that we can all enjoy events like this, that we are involved.
I couldn't say it better myself, and in fact, if I did say it the exact same way, it would have the wrong accent. But I couldn't agree more with what you're saying, Tim. It's an exciting time to be in British baseball, and obviously I've just come back from Turin in Italy and spent some time with the team there, and the pride that they show towards the program at that top level is immense. As we have a third strikeout, so striking out the side in order is Stoltz. We're going to keep things right here, as it were, as we head to the middle of the second. Unfortunately, our mid-roll advertisements aren't working at the moment, but that's okay. Certainly have plenty to talk about. And one of the things that I was struck by immediately in coming here to Farnham Park, obviously this is the place where I work, this is what my company runs in Baseball Softball UK, is that the pride and passion that was shown at the European Championships by those wearing Great Britain across their chest is easily reflected, if not enhanced, by those who are playing here at Single A. There could not be more of a gulf within the Great Britain baseball structure, as it were, between Single A, independent Single A, I should say, and GB baseball. And yet, there's so much pride and dedication that is shown by people, all types of people, all walks of people. It doesn't matter if you're a man, woman, your sexual orientation, doesn't matter where you are in the country, there's an opportunity to play baseball. And as Tim said, we've had the London series here, but we've had all this expansion. Tim hasn't mentioned that he's a player for the Sheffield Bruins, has been doing some great work in their broadcasting as well, in setting up and really helping us work through our issues down here. May I just mention that all issues with today's broadcast should be directed to me. It's my broadcast today, not Tim's, as he sits here silently nodding. But it's a very exciting time, and there's a lot of talent, both on and off the field, that can be utilized in British baseball. And one thing that you mentioned, Tim, and this is something you can speak on more expertly than I can, is the level of collaboration that it's taken to get this tournament together, and how nice it's been to see that level of collaboration for the good of the game, certainly this year.
Oh, definitely. I think, it takes dedicated people such as Tom Thornhill, Christian Carter, Earl Dix, yourself, Chris, to really make these things happen. And, it's fantastic to see. I think the last time that, we can imagine a team from the north coming down to play at a national finals, it's looking at near a decade. And I think
The last recorded one I have is 2010. And admittedly, I will say between the number of websites that there have been, it's kind of hard to keep track of. But 2010 is the last time I saw a national final like this.
Definitely, I think the clubs across the country are warming to this idea. I think there's always this political angle about travel and whatever, but aside from that, I think generally the feeling is that people want to play the sport, they want to enjoy the sport, and as you mentioned, for the good of the sport is to get involved and be a part of it. You find that the passion that you get at single A, almost untainted by the bureaucracy and any politics, it really is great to see as that ball is hammered there into left field, but caught nicely by the left fielder.
Absolutely. So we have now one down here in the bottom half of the second. Long Eaton with the 1-2-3 strikeout top half of this inning, and now we will have, I believe it's the bottom third of the order. Unfortunately, we are lacking some numbers here for Long Eaton on their roster, but I believe this is the 8-hitter. That would be Ed Salandi, if it is indeed so. And to take one step on the collaboration that Tim was talking about, and the collaboration that led to this tournament. Certainly the collaboration that has happened this year across a wide variety of things is unprecedented, certainly in my time in the UK and in baseball and softball in the United Kingdom. I know for a fact that the collaboration that's taken place in the past few months is one of the reasons why I got to go and to have the honor and privilege of broadcasting at the European Championships. Likewise, it's one of the reasons why I have the honor and privilege of broadcasting right here, and that we have BBF umpires with some BBF tournament control, run by the East of England Baseball League with all of these independent leagues and the British Baseball Federation involved. This is what baseball's meant to be. It's not meant to be the political, the bureaucratic, the behind closed doors, to be honest, the grant funding and the marketing budgets and this, that, and the other thing of the game. That all has to happen, and that's the unglamorous part. When people ask me what I do during the week when I'm not broadcasting, well, I've just listed some of the things that I do, as we have a walk here, so we'll have a runner on first. But what it boils down to is that if there's a place for people to play, and it's organized well enough that where people want to play, they will play. And you mentioned there was something under around 10,000 baseball players in the country. We have 26,200 total players between baseball and softball in the United Kingdom, with the vast majority being slow-pitch softball. And there is this combined effort through Baseball Softball UK. It's got this strategy, two sports, one ambition, to pool the resources of the two sports together to support both. You've seen that pay off in national squad support funding for the GB softball team as strike two's in there, and the runner will take second base. You may see some movement on that for GB baseball at some point as well. But the whole idea is that a rising tide lifts all ships. It's not meant to be fractured. It's certainly not meant to be, well, baseball versus softball, or this fraction of baseball versus another fraction of baseball. And what we've been seeing, and certainly what both of us have experienced over the past couple months, has been really, really encouraging, and it gets you excited about it. It gets you understanding that, well, there's work to be done, and Lord knows there is much work to be done in this country for baseball and softball, and that's, you know, what we do on a day-to-day basis. Tim in his free time, me for my professional job. This is a chop towards short. High throw will not be in time, and a run will score, giving the Storm a 3-1 lead. So that bounced out to the shortstop. He made a great play to the backhand, but his throw just didn't have enough on it, and that will be another run for Long Eaton. But to finish what I was saying, when you get down to it, when you're sitting behind a backstop here with a camera and a bit of a bodged together kit, and it's sunny, and there are fans around, this is baseball at its purest, and that's, I think, to a certain extent, that's what has been not missing. Certainly it's been taking place throughout the country for years and years and years, but there hasn't been a light shown on it in the same way, and that's one of the things that makes doing this type of broadcast so special is that this is baseball at its purest form for the love of the game, which very rarely exists, certainly at higher levels, certainly once you get into the professional side of things. Even at the European Championships, there was a certain element of doing things for commercial reasons, or the commercial sponsor in the background, or a political reason for doing something. This is not that. This is baseball for the love of the game, as we're talking through the game, of course, and the irony is not lost on me. But it does show you why there's such an appetite for British baseball, why people love this sport, why some people would move over an ocean to work in this sport. Some people have come even further than that. They've come from the Pacific. They've come from Australia. There's a lot of love for this sport, and it's thrilling, really, to see it start to pay off in a collaborative way.
I mean, that being that said, Chris, if Greggs do want to sponsor us, I'll happily display their banner in the outfield. So.
Yeah, that's not one of the adverts I was going to do is contact us for commercial sponsors. And I say so not necessarily in a we're going to give you the largest advertisement you've ever seen. As this is lined off the glove of the shortstop, and it's now 4-1 Long Eaton. Good play. Again, the shortstop for Cambridge, George Fairbairn, has been laying out quite a bit. And because this is amateur British baseball, he will have to do his own laundry, which is quite unfortunate because he's going to take home about half of this field with him. But it's now 4-1 Long Eaton. They're quite a good team, and they've been playing station to station and having some good at bats here, haven't they?
Yeah, this Long Eaton team, you can never really write them off as that runner goes to second. A bit of indifference there. This team, I've seen them play at the AA level. We've played against them, the Bruins against them in this open tournament that the BBF put on last year, and they're a very good side. I think both these teams are worthy of their spots in this final. But as you were just saying before, Chris, I think the barriers to entry in terms of getting involved with baseball have massively come down over the last couple of years, even so much as just being able to have a few different equipment suppliers that you can choose from. Access to fields.
This being a Baseball Softball UK broadcast, our only equipment supplier is Baseball Outlet. Others may be available, but not for us.
And as well as that, being able to just have so much green space where you don't need a lot actually to start playing baseball. I think there's always this dream of having a field as glorious as this one at Diamond Number 2 at Farnham Park. But indeed, you can set yourself up for very, very cheap, and there is grants and money available for you through the BSUK Facilities Fund, which isn't available now, but should come back again soon. I should have paid you for that mention. The Facilities Fund will actually be relaunched in 2 weeks' time, so do look out for that. BaseballSoftballUK.com. If you don't know what that is, Baseball Softball UK took a look at our budget this year and then put aside £50,000 over the next 5 years to fund grassroots facilities. What that means is it's not for us at all. We're not using it on Farnham Park. We're not using it on a BSUK facility. What we are using it for is to help fund facilities around the country. So we had 5 winners of the facility funds first go out. We gave away £12,500, and each of those teams had to match funding. So that £12,500 each was matched by the team. So that ended up being $25,000 put into facilities in a very short amount of time. So that process will start over again. This year, starting in October. The awards will come out in March of next year, I believe. This is where our corporate sponsorship would come into play, because if we had a corporate sponsorship, we'd be able to help out by getting more money into that fund and more money sent out to the teams. And effectively, that's what Baseball Softball UK does. We facilitate, on behalf of baseball and softball, deals and commercial partners and opportunities and broadcasts and whatever else we can do to help get people playing in more places across the UK, whether it's baseball or softball. With the focus today on baseball and what we can do for baseball, all I can say is if you're watching this broadcast and you know of someone who might be interested in a sponsor, whether regional or for a single team or for the whole country, get in touch. We are happy to direct people where they need to be, as this has popped up right back to us. Clement gives chase, and now she's going to be heard on the broadcast, whether she likes it or not.
but she cannot get there in time. Really hope that wasn't caught on the microphone. So that when we speak about corporate sponsors and not having corporate sponsors as a good thing, it's a good thing because it doesn't entangle the teams. But the more money we get for the sports, obviously the more that we can do and the more that we can perhaps lower the costs of playing around the country, get different ways of getting equipment into the country. There's so more, effectively, money opens doors, if we're being honest about it. So when we look for corporate sponsors, what we're looking for is how we can benefit the sports as a whole, not necessarily how we can benefit any one organization. And I think that's key. Meanwhile, 2 down, 2 runners in scoring position, and 2 runs home so far. Very good inning here for Long Eaton. Although, as we take a look at the time here, we're in the bottom of the second. It's already 45 minutes in. This game does have a 2-hour time limit. I'd say if it wasn't a 2-hour time limit, then darkness would do it for us. Sun goes down pretty early these days. This has popped up towards first base, and Cambridge will get out of the inning. So that's 2 full in the books. 4-1, Long Eaton has the lead. We'll take a quick break here and be back in a moment. You're watching the National Single A Championships on Baseball Softball UK TV. Top of the 3rd inning here at the National Single A Championship Final. Long Eaton Storm against Cambridge Lancers. It'll be the 9, 1, and 2 hitters for Cambridge. Leading things off is Lisa Clements, the catcher. 4-1, Long Eaton has the lead, although Cambridge able to work out of a jam last half inning. That being said, Stoltz, the pitcher for Long Eaton, struck out the side in order last inning as he now deals with the number 9 hitter. Swung on and missed by Clements. Clements, one of the few, but increasingly less rare female players playing in single A competition, although I would also say that we are seeing a lot of female players swap to WBUK now that there is a bespoke league. Long Eaton setting up their own team last week. The Long Eaton Lightning will be their women's team. I believe Cambridge is exploring that as well, although I do not remember off the top of my head what their name is, so apologies there. I'm sorry? The Valkyries. Thank you. This is why a color commentator is so useful. Tim's got all the facts that I haven't been able to retain. So we've got women's teams for both of these parent organizations, as it were. This count runs to 1 and 2 to Clements. And actually had the women's final last week. The Bells baseball team, based here at Farnham Park, defeating the London Mayhem. This has popped up on the infield. And Stoltz will take it himself for out number 1. You'll see pitchers are a lot more involved in the proceedings here at Single A, really in all of British baseball, but especially at Single A, where normally on an infield, shortstop has right-of-way, center fielder has right-of-way in the outfield. Here, the pitcher will call anyone and everyone off based on location. And normally that's something that's taught, at least in the United States, as a fundamental where shortstop always takes the call. And it takes about 13, 14 years for people to actually realize that that's how it should go. Here, it seems to actually work a little bit more smoothly with whoever calls it. So it's only bringing to question about 18 years of my baseball knowledge, which fair enough.
I think the interesting fact you just alluded to there, Chris, is that majority of the people playing at this level probably didn't start until they were in their 20s. A few who have come to the youth system, I know London Youth do a really fantastic job of getting kids through youth setups in Liverpool and Manchester as well and other parts of the country. But yes, so a lot of these good habits that maybe have been drilled into players from a young age, and a lot of these bad habits that players may have picked up are not apparent until actually get out on the diamond. So it's interesting really seeing how baseball differs in the UK compared to the States.
Absolutely, that's a great point, and also speaks to the recreational nature of baseball here, the amateur nature, where we do have a lot of people who start in their 20s and 30s. That being said, the oldest member of the GB national team last week, Ethan Solomon, 41 years old, was not eligible to represent Great Britain, as we have a strikeout here. That will be the second out of the inning. So Stoltz from Long Eaton continuing to cruise here after a rough first inning. So Ethan Solomon got his UK, I should say, citizenship when he was 38, I believe it was, after living in the UK for 10 years, and then started representing the GB team for the first time at 39 in 2019, and then 41 at 2021's nationals. Or not nationals, excuse me, championships, European championships. So that's one of the really, really cool things that you do not have in the United States, for example, is the ability to play when you can play and play at a high level to do so. And that's certainly not a knock against professional baseball by any means. But what it does mean over here is that there are opportunities that are so uniquely British baseball that you can't find them anywhere else. And I think that's one of the really cool quirks of this setup and how things work over here, as Derek House up for his second at-bat fouls one off. And yes, we have spent a lot of today's game talking about British baseball on the whole and the structure. It's almost a last day of camp feeling, if I admit, with the fact that this is one of the last major tournaments taking place at Farnham Park this year. Certainly not the last, as we got a swing and a miss. Ball gets away from the catcher, and the runner will reach, as that got away from the catcher. Pugh bounced all the way to the backstop. He couldn't find it for a second there. It looks like it got bogged down a little bit in the soft sand, then rolled away. So strikeout and now a base runner for Cambridge. They do trail by 3, and it gets late early, to borrow an expression here. 5 innings, max, or 2 hours for this game, and we are 51 minutes in to this game in the top of the third. So both very much in play here on Field 2 at Farnham Park. It is Field 2, but this is certainly what I would say is the preeminent baseball field available, certainly in this region. With no offense to Field 1, certainly, but the way that this one is set up underneath the berms, it's got a great way of watching the game. Certainly our broadcast position here is fantastic. You can see the whole field almost, and it's got the dug-in dugouts. Not to mention it's got lots of seating. And actually beyond the outfield wall is the camping area here at Farnham Park. So it's even got its own hotel a la Rogers Center in Toronto. It's time called here for a quick discussion. It seems the Long Eaton Storm are going to have a quick chat. I think what they're trying to argue here, Tim, and do correct me if I'm wrong, is that the throw was in time. The tag was just late. And I think that's from what I saw, that's what I would say, as the tag was just a bit too high and didn't make contact with the helmet there. Still checks the runner at second and delivers. This is sent out towards center field. Shallow little bloop. It will drop in for a hit. Runner being waved around. The throw comes to the plate, and it is not in time. And the deficit is slashed to 2. 4-2 as Cambridge scores.
I think they were contesting that tag there, but the dust probably played against them as the runner was engulfed in dirt as he slid into second base, so it was difficult for the umpire to call it. I'd just like to mention the home plate umpire today, Gabor Erdos. He is a internationally recognised umpire, actually officiating at the European Championships just, 10 days ago or so?
Not even. He came home on Monday, which I know because he was on the same flight as me from Turin. But he had some very high-profile games over there. It's, as you said, internationally recognized, internationally renowned as well. And for those of you who were scoreboard watching in pool play, he was umpiring the Russia-France game that was integral to GB advancing into the second round where they faced the Dutch. So certainly great to have Gabor here, and a lot of the umpiring crew here from the British Baseball Federation, as they're using today almost as both as a test and a review, and kind of going through the umpiring systems, which too often get overlooked in both baseball and softball. But without umpires, it would kind of make this a lot harder to do if no one's going to lay down the law. So it's great to see them here and taking a look at how they can improve always. And I know Gabor, especially during the last offseason and during the COVID break, was phenomenal in putting together umpiring clinics online and webinars and the like. And so it's great to see that part of the game evolve as well, as we have a strikeout here to end the inning. But Cambridge gets a run, and they've slashed the deficit to 2. 4-2, Long Eaton has the lead as we head to the bottom of the third. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to Field 2 here at Farnham Park, National Baseball and Softball Complex. We do have a new pitcher on the mound, a left-hander for Cambridge. Unfortunately, he's not wearing a number today, so we will do our best to figure out who that is for you. But while we do have a moment here, as we do have this game between Cambridge and Long Eaton, this is the final of this championship day. I'm going to send things over to Tim French, and Tim is going to tell you some of the scores from earlier today and how we got here based on the teams that qualified. So, Tim, over to you.
Thanks, Chris. Well, it's been an impressive day of baseball in terms of scores. This Cambridge Lancers team, well, both teams actually have a 2-0 record and quite successful at that as well. So, in their first game against London Mustangs, they won their first game 11-7, and in that second game, they beat the Sheffield Blade Runners 9-7. So indeed, strong performances there, and that's a beautiful take from the pitcher for the first out. Very nonchalant.
They're reflex plays, and I don't think I can call that a reflex play. He knew exactly what he was doing the whole time. That was phenomenal. Just a soft liner back to the pitcher. He didn't even have to move his glove. He just had to squeeze. And I will also say the added death stare was phenomenal.
Yeah, I think I want to say things I probably can't say on air, but yeah, he's definitely practiced that one, I would say. This Long Eaton team, again, very, very strong side as that ball is hit foul. 2-0 record also, taking the Milton Keynes Bucks to 23-2 in their first game, and then following that up against the Plymouth Mariners 9-0. So indeed some big hits, a lot of runs on the board, and interestingly this game is quite the opposite. It's definitely much more of a pitching duel, low scoring affair. I'll give you back to Chris to follow along with the commentary.
Thanks for that recap, Tim. 4-2 the score here, as we have a pop-up out towards shallow left center. That will drop in for a base hit. Heading for second is the base runner. He'll get there safely. It took a little bit of time for Cambridge to get the ball in, so with one out, there will be a runner at second base. 4-2 the score here, Long Eaton over Cambridge. Thank you to Tim for that recap. As mentioned earlier at the top of this broadcast, a lot of different leagues represented here. West Midlands Baseball League, East of England Baseball League, British Baseball Federation, British Baseball League, the West Country Baseball League, and I've totally forgotten the last one. Which I think I got British.
West Country.
I had West Country as well.
West Country, East of England.
Had East of England, had West. Well, now Tim's feeding me leagues that aren't even here. So the point remains that it's very well represented, both independent and affiliated, as it were, with the British Baseball Federation, British Baseball League, and affiliated with their own leagues. So runner at third base now, and the pitch. Good curveball. That was something else. That dropped twice. And if I didn't know better, I believe that would be the gyro ball. That was slow, ephus style, and he goes back to the fastball, but that will turn into a base knock and a fifth run for Long Eaton. He came back there very quickly after the low looping pitch and threw it to almost the same location pre-break, and he was able to make contact, was the batter. So that will make it 5-2 Long Eaton.
Second baseman there, just not quite in the right position, slightly shaded a bit too far towards the second base bag, but made an effort, which is always good to see at this level. It's good to see that guys want to dive for those balls, want to go for them as the runner takes off for second base. No throw from the catcher, gets the strike call.
And I think we're going to start seeing that a little bit more. This Cambridge team was prone to throw earlier in the day. I think they have decided to throw less as the day has progressed. That is for better or for worse, as the batter is hit by a pitch here. Puts runners at first and second. For better or for worse, at the single A level, you do see some more errant throws or tougher plays, especially on contact plays. Anytime there's a slide involved or a bang-bang play. And you can see when teams decide to become less risk-averse, they'll stop throwing and they'll just concede the base. Focus on the hitter at the plate. As this breaking ball just misses. Now Clements will throw down, but it's not in time. That was a breaking pitch, and the runner was off early, and there was no real shot there other than to keep him honest. So now a runner at third base. Modified set position being used by the left-handed pitcher here, as it's almost a half wind. As, again, no throw down to the runner at first, and there'll be runners at second and third. This is flown out towards left field. Camped under at the left fielder. He'll make the catch, tagging at third. And coming home is... Unfortunately, I don't know who that is. They will be safe as the throw from the relay player, appeared to be the third baseman, went high over the head of Clements. Now there's a runner at third, and it's 6-2 Long Eaton.
I mean, to give Clements a bit of credit there, I think being a catcher at the single A level is possibly the hardest thing you can do, because a lot of the time you are being a bit of a hockey goalie. You're trying to prevent the pass balls and deal with maybe some more inerrant throws, but at the same time you're trying to keep switched on to what's going on. You're the only person that can see the whole field, and sometimes you don't get it right, and sometimes you just got to live with it.
Oh, absolutely. And I would further say that that throw was well above Clement's head as this is grounded. Takes a weird hop for the shortstop. Fairbarn double hops the throw, and it gets away from the first baseman. That will make it 7-2 Long Eaton. His first baseman unable to scoop it out there. To pick up that point about the catching position being one of the toughest here at the single A level, I would concur with that. I'd also throw out that these tend not to be low-scoring affairs, and that can be tough for a catcher when you're calling a game and knowing that effectively your pitcher is pitching to contact. Contact is an inevitable part of the game. And so it can make it that much tougher. Certainly not a catcher's not going to tune out. That only usually lasts one pitch before they're tuned quite quickly back in, normally by fastball, as Long Eaton is now just taking bases at will. There's now a runner at third. I didn't even have to change the graphic. Runner at third with 2 outs. That's Keanu Stoltz, the pitcher, who's now at third base. Hopefully he doesn't try for home, but he might. He's wandering as that pitch misses up and in.
Chris, do we touch on the unwritten rules at all, or do we let that one go for today?
You know, it's funny. We were actually discussing the unwritten rules thanks to, let's call it a miscommunication between Belgium and Great Britain during their placement game last Thursday, where the Belgians were very upset that a Great Britain player, Aaron Singh, stole second, up 8 runs. The Belgians then came back to score 8 runs in the bottom half of the inning, thus showing the wisdom, as it were, of stealing a base no matter the score. Now, in games where mercy rules apply, which they do here, and they do in European competition, just for context, but they do here, there is no such thing as an unwritten rule about taking bases when you're up too many runs. There may be an objection from traditionalists of the game, but the fact of the matter is quite simple, is you play to win the game, and one of the ways you can win the game and win it quickly is to force the mercy rule. And so you're hopefully not going to see any objections to stealing bases or playing hard despite wider margins, because those wider margins are incredibly important due to the upper ceiling that there can be, whether it's a 10-run rule or a 15-run rule. So in terms of that unwritten rule, you're not going to see a lot of that. In terms of the other unwritten rules, you're not really going to see people get thrown into each other intentionally. You're definitely going to see it unintentionally. But really, there's so much enthusiasm for the game here that there isn't a lot of unwritten rules, written rules, etc.
And I think, again, it comes down to the fact that we are British and we probably haven't been exposed so much to Major League Baseball and playing at a younger level to actually know what a lot of these unwritten rules are.
And for those of you who are listening going, what are the unwritten rules of baseball? I have been a baseball fan my entire life. The unwritten rules of baseball do have a certain role in baseball, and you can watch that on television on Major League games. At this level, there's no need for any unwritten rules. Obviously, if you're playing the game hard and playing it the right way, then that's really all you need to worry about. The specifics are not necessary. Meanwhile, it is now 9-2 Long Eaton over Cambridge as we are past the hour mark. And that will also cause the inning to turn over as that hits the 5-run rule. So any team that scores 5 runs in an inning forces the inning to end. So we have 5 runs home. We will head to the top of the 4th. It is 9-2 Long Eaton over Cambridge. Welcome back here to Field 2 at Farnham Park, National Baseball and Softball Complex. Chris Knoblock on the call with Tim French here. 9-2, Long Eaton has the lead. You did see the last inning end by 5-run rule. Any team that scores 5 runs in any of the first 4 innings causes the next inning to commence, next half inning, I should say, to commence. Fouled back off the hands of Ackerley. So 9-2 the score, top half of the 4th inning. Cambridge clearly has some work to do. They're facing a pitcher in Stoltz who's been very good. A lot of swings and misses, just like we just saw. He's got a very good breaking ball. Although this left-hander who we just saw for Cambridge with that double drop curveball is one of the best I have seen in Britain. No exaggeration there. It's been phenomenal. As this is another strikeout, ball gets away. Throw down from the catcher. Pugh is not in time. In fact, gets away from the first baseman, and a runner will end up at second base despite the nope, and he keeps going. And now he's in a rundown, and he will get into third. Ball squirts away, and he's going to stay at third. I don't think he's getting up too quick after that collision. But that is a 3-base strikeout. And that you can see a few of those at the single-A level. And certainly we do not mean this in any type of disparaging way. But occasionally that will happen. Stoltz has 2 strikeouts that ended up in base runners here today. And he comes back with a strike.
And for those that may be a little bit confused as to why that is a strikeout, but the runner was able to reach, if the catcher drops the 3rd strike, as in it is not a caught ball, the runner is entitled to first base if it is unoccupied. And that is another out there. A lovely play there by the 3rd baseman to the 1st baseman.
In the back door, however, another run for Cambridge, so it's 9-3. More that we take a look at the time limit. Next half inning could be critical, as Long Eaton, as the home team, would have the advantage on any time limit, provided they maintain their lead. They currently have the 6-run lead. As Zemke swings and misses at a high pitch up by the letters. Another swing and a miss. Stoltz very, very good here. He's been very consistent as well, despite the rough first inning. And it wasn't even that rough. He only allowed 1 run. He's been very consistent since. So, Tim, if you're watching today's game and you're not a big fan or you're not involved with British baseball, obviously, I'm going to say go to the team finder, BaseballSoftballUK.com/finder. We'll show you all of the teams closest to you. We have another strikeout by Stoltz. This one looking. That's the second out of the inning. So I will send you to the team finder, which will help you find your closest team, BaseballSoftballUK.com/finder. And if you're watching this and go, hey, my information on the finder isn't accurate, do send me an email. Please update it. We are as up-to-date as the teams will allow us to be, so please do keep us in the loop of any changes. But Tim, as someone who works closely with a club, the Sheffield Bruins, as mentioned, and I'm going to keep shouting them out, what are you looking for from people who are looking to join? What are you looking for from people in the community? How can people get involved and help out with British baseball?
Well, the community is very active. Dependent on what social media you're on, I think that's the main platform that most teams now use. That's a lovely little grounder to second base for an easy out there. And that is the ending of the sides. Mince my words, apologies, as the sides tick over and Cambridge will now come and take the field. But as I was saying, if you're active on Facebook, a good place to start off looking is in the British Baseball Clubhouse Facebook group. Likewise, if you just put in baseball and your city, you no doubt will find something on there, even a good Google search. But again, on Twitter, if you use Twitter, if you just search for UK baseball, there's a list that contains tweets from pretty much all of the teams in the UK. I'm pretty sure one of the UK affiliate accounts to the major league teams has compiled that. So there is ample amounts of baseball wherever you are.
And on the note, if you tweet, "Hey, what's going on with British baseball?" someone will find you. And I say that both in a not creepy and also very creepy way. But the community is adamant about finding people opportunities to play, getting people involved. And some of those opportunities may not actually be with clubs, as you touched on, Tim. There are fan groups for every one of the major league franchises. In fact, they've been doing watch parties with Baseball Softball UK and MLB, along with Passyunk Avenue and Home Run House the past couple of months. The next one of those will be announced very shortly, and it will coincide, I believe, with either the wild card games or the divisional series. I believe it's the divisional series down in London. But those MLB UK meetups happen throughout the country. I know that there's some movement to get one going in Leeds. There have been some good ones up in Manchester before. Liverpool has done them as well. So there are opportunities to hang out, as it were, with people who love the game as well. And as we head into the traditional outdoor off-season, obviously there will be some indoor softball and indoor training, but really this is an outdoor sport. Even though how we play in the outdoors in the UK varies compared to the rest of the world, and certainly our rain rules are different. If we had the same rain rules as the US, we would never play, to be honest. So it's a good thing that they are different. But as we head into the off-season, now's the time for planning and preparation for next year and getting all the systems in place and renewing all of the various agreements that govern fields and suppliers and all of that. And if you have any suggestions, tweet us. Let us know. We are only able to execute what we know to either work or what's based on our previous experience. But if we hear something better, we are more than happy to take a look at it. And on that note, as we are improving the broadcasting stuff here, as this pop back right towards us, and will land out of land, the catcher could not get to it. Looks like his spikes got caught a little bit there, which is a little bit weird, seeing as they are not metal spikes. But yes, please do let us know how we can help, how we can get involved, how we can assist your team. For example, I know that we've had a lot of people talk about broadcasting and technical issues notwithstanding with this broadcast. That's something that we're working on, and that's actually how Tim and I started chatting, was how to improve broadcasts and how to make the output look even better. And so that's how we ended up broadcasting today's game, and that's really where the collaboration will come, because that conversation doesn't cost any money, and that's that sharing of ideas is really what will help accelerate the growth of the sport. This is grounded out towards short. Big looping throw, and indeed it was a looping throw, but it was in time, and that will be an out.
Well, I think to not big up the BSUK too much, I guess Chris can't do that, as much as he'd like to, as he is a...
I mean, I am an American, so I'm just restraining myself, as it were.
Well, that's a very English trait you've managed to pick up there. But if you are running a team and you need a bit of assistance, then BSUK is a great place to start. If you join up with their charter, that gives you access to a plethora of courses, whether that's safeguarding or how to get funding, how to work with volunteers. But if you generally need a bit of advice, each region has their own development manager. That is a BSUK employee who is solely dedicated to working with teams in that area, whether that's softball or baseball, and use this off-season as a chance to get in touch with one of them and find out how you can improve your sport in your area. But you mentioned it's the off-season, and actually, indeed, it's the start of the season for the university teams who start up. A lot of them are starting their journeys, so to speak, this season this week.
And apologies to interrupt, Tim. That's a great point. University seasons are starting, and this is the first year where baseball and softball are Bucks-recognized sports. So it will be fantastic to have them integrate in the Bucks system. For those of you unaware, Bucks recognition would be the equivalent of being recognized by the schools over in the United States. It took me a while to contextualize that. It's not quite intramural; it's a step up from that. So it's now inter-university. The schools playing each other, which has existed in the past, but it's within the structure of the entire offering of Bucks programs. So we're very excited about that. The beautiful thing is that the universities that we've worked with and have been in touch with do a fantastic job of running the recruitment in the way that their school needs. And so that's fantastic. And so we're excited to see where this university season leads us. I do have to shout out Sheffield Hallam, though, in particular, because they need to start a team. I believe that was a requirement of the internship that I had with one of the students earlier. So Hallam, I'm looking to you guys. Please start a team. No, they do have a team. Tim's telling me they have a team. Well, I am incorrect. Well, that's even better. So my rant is irrelevant. I'm just going to turn the microphone back to Tim here as we have a pitch outside for ball 4.
My point being that again, if you are a university student and you are interested in getting involved in baseball, then there is an avenue for you if you don't quite want to step up to playing in the national system. As Chris mentioned, the British University College Sports System is very well regarded, and of course, being a part of that means that there's access to funding, as those Bucks points, those ever sought after Bucks points, as the runner takes off for second base, throw down there from Cambridge, but it's not quite in time. And the sought after funding and the recognition of being a Buck sport is so important for a lot of universities, actually. In some sports that they may not contribute Bucks points, it gives them an opportunity now with baseball and indeed softball to get involved and get some of those valuable Bucks points.
And I must admit that the university structure over here is a bit foreign to me, not just because I'm from the U.S., but I haven't had a chance to sit down and understand it fully. With that being said, as we have a pickoff here, underhanded attempt at the pickoff and out, as they're going to say the tag is applied for out number 2 here. So big out there for Cambridge as the tag applied. So it's now 9-3 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th. What I will say is that the Bucks effort started in, I believe it was 2014 officially. Luke Stott was a instrumental part of that. Patrick Knock took that over and managed to get the project across the line. Both now former BSUK employees, but it speaks to the level of commitment that both of them had, as it took both of their tenures to get the project done and get it over the line. And likewise, it's like the GB national teams like having baseball and softball in the Olympics. This is how the sport grows in terms of visibilities. This has popped up to the first baseman, and that will be out number 3. We head to the top of the 5th. Cambridge has to score 7 to keep this one going. We will be back in a moment here at the National Single A Championship. So here we go. Top half of the 5th inning. Long Eaton leads 9-3 over the Cambridge Lancers. Single A National Championship final here. Chris Knoblock along with Tim French. This is a 5-inning scheduled game, so if Long Eaton is able to get through this half inning, they will be victorious. Cambridge must score 7 times to force a bottom half of the inning. Incidentally, if they were to do that, and we were to see an issuance of the time limit rule, as Tim has explained it to me, we would revert back to last inning score, which is 9-3. Or no, apologies. We would play this one through. We would play this one out if that comes into play. If it had been the 4th inning, we would have reverted back. I'm still learning the rules myself. So, here we go. 9-1 and 2 hitters due up for Cambridge. The pinch hitter catcher, KJ, I know is his first name, Thorensen from Iceland. Incidentally, we don't do free ads, but he does have a podcasting studio in Cambridge if you ever need it. It's always a good thing to know. As that will be a foul ball, an unfortunate one too, as he had the bat straight up and down.
Just to add, though, there are other supermarkets available. You don't have to go to Iceland, although all mums do.
But if you are from Iceland and listening, please call us. We would love to make this Iceland Farnham Park National Baseball Complex. Other brands are available. Forgot to mention, new pitcher on for Long Eaton. As you can hear the third man in the booth, Peanut, getting all of the attention per usual. As we have a walk, so the leadoff man is aboard for Cambridge. And that will bring Mara back to the plate. His third at-bat of the game. And it's all about base runners here.
Here, the closer's job, trying to get those last 3 outs for the Storm. Gets that strike there.
And we've talked about Long Eaton a lot today, mostly off air, but they have looked very, very strong through this tournament. And I know that the only team I had seen coming into this was Milton Keynes. As now that will be out number 1 on a pop-up to second. But the Milton Keynes team was a very good team that we saw at Battle for Britain, and I believe it was Long Eaton in earlier play dispatched them with ease. So this is a very strong side.
Indeed, as you mentioned, Chris, the standard of play here means that they are quite high-scoring affairs, and that game against Milton Keynes was a 23-2 game, which obviously shows that this Storm team have got some hot bats at the moment, and it'll be interesting to see how Cambridge responds now. They are looking for 7 runs to draw the bottom of the inning, but at the same time, it must be said that this team, this Long Eaton Storm team, has been rather clinical of late.
They've had a bloop here and there. There's been a couple throwing errors, which is relatively standard at this level. But that's about it. Their pitching has been fantastic, and that's speaks to ways to win in British baseball. Good pitching always wins. Here, it's been about executing their spots. Long Eaton was able to take a lead in the bottom of the first inning in their first at-bat, and they've never lost it. And now they get the second out on a good play by their catcher, Pugh, to get the foul pop. So 2 down. That brings Willingale to the plate, starting pitcher. He can help himself out here, as he is on the hook right now. Not that they will track wins and losses or saves from this game, but he is on the hook at the moment. The pitch. Pitch is down low for a ball. Throw, not a great one. It was offline, and it hit the lip of the infield and just kind of rolled towards the outfield. One of the unique ways that Farnham Park plays here. So now runner at second in scoring position. It helps if I say the sentences at separate times instead of all at once. So 2 down, runner at second. Infield in at third on the grass. Bit of an interesting move as this is slapped towards right. And that will do it as Long Eaton will take this championship game by a 9-3 score. So that's it for us in terms of broadcasting. It was a great game pitched by Stoltz. That would be Keanu Stoltz of Long Eaton. He pitched a great game. He ends up with the win on today's game. Some solid hitting up and down their lineup, though. It's really hard to single out one player, as they were quite good up and down the lineup. As now we'll have the trophy presentations following the handshakes, which is great to have the handshake line back once again here post-COVID restrictions, shall I say. Not post-COVID, but post-COVID restrictions. Tim, give me your final thoughts on the day, this game, and where we go from here. What's up next for Tim? What's up next for British baseball?
Well, look, Chris, I think as cliche as it is, I mean, it's a win for Long Eaton Storm, but ultimately it's a win for baseball in the UK. And, of course, seeing all these teams out today has been fantastic, and really showcases the level and the ability of some of these players at the single A level. And indeed, it's really good to see actually crowning champions once again after what has been quite a rough year in 2020. So I'm excited to see what comes next season as we move hopefully past and post-COVID, as you mentioned. Christian Carter coming out now to present the trophy with Chris Deacon. And yes, I'm really excited and looking forward to 2022, which sounds scary to say, and hopefully...
It was 2019 20 minutes ago, just for everyone watching and listening.
Both teams now getting into a huddle and just debriefing and can definitely hold their heads high. This Cambridge team, they've done an excellent job all day. And, of course, tournament baseball is difficult, especially tournament baseball over one day. They played 4 games, which is more than most teams play in a day anyway, as the Long Eaton Storm applauding them after, again, a very good job today. Clearly proved that, as you mentioned, pitching is important at this level. Put some solid hitting in, and indeed come away as the champions of champions, you can say now.
Very astute reference there, Tim, and on a personal note, it's been a pleasure having you down here. I know it's been quite a hike to get you down for today's game, and it will be a rarity, certainly, for us working together, but that doesn't mean we won't be able to work together virtually, and it's been a pleasure having you on the call. I know that one of the things we're working towards is having regionally based broadcast abilities, and watch out for Tim. Tim's going to be able to do some very cool things in baseball coming very soon. So it's been great having you here, Tim. Certainly it's been a great experience to see single A play. This might have been my first day of full single A play, and to have it be this Champions of Champions tournament, the Champions League-ish, not copyright, don't sue us, of British single A baseball. But that's going to do it for us here at Farnham Park. My name is Chris Knoblock, for my broadcast partner, Tim French. A huge thank you to Tom Thornhill, the organizer of this tournament, Christian Carter, who you can see on the field now, along with Earl Dix, tournament control, and the staff at Baseball Softball UK for keeping Farnham looking beautiful and for maintaining the fields. That will do it for us from Field 2 as the championship presentation wraps up here. The final score for the final time, Long Eaton Storm, defeat the Cambridge Lancers by a 9-3 margin. They are the national champions of single A competition in British baseball. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We will see you next time, and see you soon.